1 day a week to one every day? How quickly?
6 months, I would say, to get to every day.
Yeah, to get consistently every day, I would probably say that's about right. I remember you also saying it'll be crazy when we do 3 a week.
Douche nozzle.
3 a day.
In the center square today, we have Mr. J.R. Howell. With the I don't know what that thing is on his back. Oh, Brian had a long. Sponsor. That's right. We talked about. Oh, it is his new sponsor. That too. We talked about. Brian had a tough night last night. A lot of vigorous exercise. Maybe pulled a muscle in his back or something. So he's trying to stay warm.
I did thrusters today, JR.
No way.
Increasing weight thrusters with chest to bar pull-ups and double unders just for you.
You're so ready for the open. All you needed is that one session.
I've done two thruster workouts in the last 12 months.
Don't feel bad for Brian. You should see the other guy. The other guy's really fucked up. Sorry. What did you say, JR? Sorry.
I've probably sent him 12.
12 workouts?
With thrusters in them.
Yeah.
Buck Furpies.
Strong.
Yeah,
comment.
I found this coin today. Masters Fitness Collective. Isn't that nice?
Oh, what was it?
I need a new one?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this one?
It's not the one I gave you.
You gave me a coin?
No, but I'm going to give you one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, a little drama.
Maybe I need a second coin.
Little lover's coral.
Coins are important, okay?
The 2023 CrossFit Games are about to begin. And when they begin, they will open with an event that's called the Open. Do we know how many people are enrolled so far?
Halpin would know.
He would, okay.
And he would tell you everyone's ID number.
Hey, Halpin, if you in an hour we're gonna do a show review. When this is over, you guys hang tight. First, J.R. Howell is gonna tell you what all the open workouts are, and then at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have some incredible video to show you. It is an interview that Brian Spin did today with Bob Eubanks from the CrossFit Games, and we have watched it. Dave Eubanks, and we have watched it and analyzed it, and we have gotten down to the bottom of the strength of field numbers and worldwide rankings. And if you're from Africa, you should definitely all 6 of you who watch this show from Africa, you should pay attention. Or
in fact, Sevan has spent so much time preparing for this that he finally figured out that it's called strength of field.
Strength of field, yes. If you are of melanated skin and from the African continent, I want to tell you, bring your box of Kleenex because we have some serious issues we're going to expose tonight.
That's in an hour, so we got some.
Oh, until then, this show is going to be fun and positive and upbeat.
There we
Brian's
go.
like, dude, we're having JR on. Don't be a douche nozzle. I was like, all right, good.
I did say something similar to that.
I paraphrased. Lucky Camera Straps, $10 from Australia. Stoked for the big crew today. More to come if JR predicts workouts that are in my wheelhouse. Aye, already fucking with
Mr. Lucky. What are you good at?
Send your list of movements in.
Okay. So let's talk about some really big picture stuff first. This is a community event that turns into crowning the fittest person in the world. Do we have any questions on whether the CrossFit Game crowns the fittest person alive? Is anyone pushing back on that at all?
I think if the singular question is at the end of the CrossFit Games, are we finding the single fittest man and woman that we've done a good job of doing that?
Yeah. And this person is fit as shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the history of the games that there are less than a handful of situations between men and women where you can even really draw into question whether the best person won.
Yeah,
right. And this really is the fittest person on the planet. Whether you want to argue, well, you guys define fitness, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Just come participate. And by that, it means these guys, Adrian Bosman and crew, test all the time domains, the modal domains. It's all being tested.
In the games.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in the open.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And the first event, and there's basically 4 events, and it goes the open, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and then the CrossFit Games, and it narrows down as you might imagine. Though they cast the biggest net, that's the open. Anyone in the world can enter. All you need is you do need a computer, access to a computer to register, right? That's the barrier of entry, and $20 credit card.
Yep.
Yep.
Jonah 7x88, €2. Please, no wall walks in first WOD for 3 years in a row.
I
that
think
true?
I think that's a very reasonable request.
Have there been wall walks 2 years in a row?
The last 2 years, and I would I would love to see an entire competitive season this year with no wall walks. I think that would be fine.
Yeah. While I think that they're a great movement to put in the open, fairly accessible, you could argue maybe a movement that people can get their first of during the open that maybe have never been able to get all the way back to the 10-inch line. Last year, you could almost dub it the year of the shuttle run, right? There were supposed to be shuttle runs the first workout in the open. They got switched to box jump overs because of some people's limitations with space. Quarterfinals had shuttle runs. Semifinals had shuttle runs. And the games had a shuttle run workout. So I think after a year like last year, it would be completely feasible for Boz to just put them away for a year and then bring them back out later.
This is also the first year that Adrian Bosman is doing the programming for all of the events.
Correct.
Open, quarterfinals, semifinals, and the games. And for those of you who don't know, that in the center square is J.R. Howell. He's the owner of CrossFit Crash, an affiliate on the East Coast of North America. Down below in the red is the executive producer of the Sevan Podcast and owner of CrossFit Livermore. That is just outside of San Francisco, California. Up in the right, Brian Friend is the leading sports analyst and opinionated maker in the CrossFit space.
I'd like to also be acknowledged for working at a CrossFit gym in the central part of the U.S.
He's a man that also wants to be acknowledged for working at a CrossFit gym in Chicago. And the other guy is Caleb Beaver, and he is on every show, and he brings up the visuals and pipes in if someone says something that's wrong.
Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, he's the fact checker. And for €2, you can completely derail the show. So what's that say about us? Okay, and so we've got some things established, and we're about to start the first. The Open is a 3-week event. Well, tell us. I won't screw this up. Go ahead, Brian. Tell us about the Open, when it starts, and what exactly it is.
Yeah, it will start this Thursday. There'll be a live announcement from Spain at the Caja Mágica featuring 4 of the fittest 2 men and 2 women in the world. They'll announce the workout. They may have some other people do the workout additionally to those 4, but it'll be the first athletes to do the workout, and a lot of people will watch it. And then hundreds of thousands of people around the world will do the workout over the next 4 days. You have 4 days exactly to do the workout and submit it. And then the process will repeat itself 2 more times over the next 2 weeks.
And this is the second year in a row it's been 3 weeks, or how many years? Because it used to be 4 or 5 weeks, right?
It's the third year.
Third year in a row. The first year there were 3 weeks of the Open. There were 4 scored events because the last week had a 2-part event. Last year there was a 3-week Open, and there were only 3 scored events, which is the fewest that the Open has ever had. This year we have 3 weeks again, and we don't know the number of scored events that we'll have.
Okay, so the announcements will be on February 16th, February 23rd, and March 2nd. And what time will that happen, and where can people watch the announcement live?
I believe it's at
3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, noon Pacific is what CrossFit will advertise it as, since their headquarters are in the Pacific time, 3 p.m. Pacific, and it will be streaming on CrossFit Games YouTube.
And there's a deadline for when you have to turn in your score, which always creates some drama with athletes thinking that they put in their scores and missing the deadlines, et cetera. And when are those deadlines?
They're on the following Monday. Is it the same? Is it noon, or did they keep it at the later time, JR?
It was usually 5 p.m. Pacific time, right?
Yeah, it used to be. And I think it even was all the way up until at least last year. I'm sure someone in the comments will correct us, but I want to say it's still 5 p.m. Pacific.
And just so you know, nothing that we say on this show is official. You just watch this show because I guess it's just more fun to get your information from here than anywhere else. But if you really want the official information, you probably have to go over to CrossFit HQ, to their website, and then you can also then come back here and we'll decipher it for you, because a lot of their stuff needs deciphering. Last year, J.R. Howell did an amazing job of giving us some insight into what the workouts could possibly be. It was truly remarkable. All kidding aside, J.R., you killed it. It didn't come easy. He studied the podcast that Adrian Bosman does with Pat Sherwood very thoroughly. He went back and looked at gazillions of old journals.
Your podcast.
I'm sorry?
Your podcast with Adrian.
My podcast with Adrian, and he's been pretty obsessive about it. So this year it's going to be 3 weeks. Like we said last year, mostly it was Dave Castro who programmed the Open, and then after that the programming was mostly Adrian Bosman for the quarterfinals, semifinals, and then it was completely him for the CrossFit Games. And we definitely saw Adrian's signature on it. Would you guys say that's fair?
More than fair.
Yeah, for sure. And remember, those were games predictions, not open predictions. So I'm not as big on claiming to know what workouts or movements are going to show up in the open. I love to do it. It's fun to make predictions. But in the last 12 years, we've had that many years of one person programming to where we could make pretty educated guesses of where it was going, movements that would show up, movements that would show up together in the same workout, movements that would show up on which week of the open. We kind of had a good rhythm and we're kind of able to do that. And now we don't have any. So this is like the first year that we get to see any trends start to develop.
Lucky Straps, I think if I'm reading this correctly, $5 from Australia is asking, do we think there will be more or less participation?
It does say, by the way, in section 1.2 of the current rule book that the scores must be submitted by 5 p.m. Pacific time on Monday.
Okay.
So as we thought.
Official.
That's actually a little more than 4 days that you have to do it. They're announced at noon Pacific, but you have an extra 5 hours on the back end. So you have 4 days plus 5 hours to submit your scores.
And another thing that we have already this year is we have the equipment list, right? For basically anything, for all the online competitions.
Well, yes and no. There's a website, games.crossfit.com/announcement 13969/open that lists the equipment list, but it has this caveat here. Check out this page for a non-specific and non-exhaustive list of equipment you should have access to if you plan on competing in the Open and any online events during the season.
Okay. So they've given us some equipment that could possibly used with the acknowledgement.
How do you interpret that? Non-specific and non-exhaustive.
I don't know. That's very interesting. Like, are the kettlebells rogue kettlebells? Or are they kettlebells kettlebell masters? Or do they have to be? I don't know. That non-specific thing is confusing. Non-exhaustive means that, hey, like, we can add anything to the list that we want to.
Yeah, not unlike the bullet points that read a wall space for wall walks, handstand push-ups, but not limited to, etc. And a pull-up bar for, but not limited to, pull-ups, toes to bar, bar muscle-ups.
Right.
Jump ropes, plural. Why not just put jump rope? It's always said jump rope on the equipment list, and now.
But I'm okay with this, right? They're trying to. They're
checking. They're doing two things. One is they are providing a baseline list of equipment so people can get prepared, and secondly, they're leaving room for change if they feel like they need to make it at the last minute.
And just to give some credit, people have been screaming for years, like, can we at least know some things ahead of time about what equipment might be in the later stages? And they even have at the bottom for GHD and rope, specifically for the climbing rope, that those two implements will not be used in the Open, but could be used in the quarterfinals and age group semifinals stage. And, you know, the big talk has been about the kettlebells being added. And they even released a video recently saying there's been a lot of worry about the heavy kettlebell movements coming up in the Open. You can rest assured that those will not be used until the later online stages. But
they said that? They said that?
They did, yeah.
When they say later online stages, are they talking about week 3 or are they talking about quarterfinals?
Quarters or age group semifinals.
Okay.
Yeah. But, they've gone ahead and let people know, hey, if you don't do work with kettlebells and you plan on making it to those stages, you've got a lot of time to put your hands on them and do a lot of different things, which is cool.
Hey, that Rogue website that Caleb just had up, is that a page on Rogue that has all of the equipment already just set up for you?
I think that was a post from the game site.
So the games had posted the link, and then it just basically said everything that the games requested be available to you from the open till quarterfinals.
Okay, that's cool. So if you need
Convenient.
any stuff, you can go to Rogue and just snatch it up. Lucky Camera Straps with the big street parking campaign. I can't see them using the rower in the open. What's he talking about? Yeah,
so the video that was produced, I thought Boz was awesome in it. You even talked about the production of it, how good it was. And at the end, I think he says something along the lines of, we're specifically calling out all street parking members to sign up for the open this year and participate. So I think a lot of people are using that to infer things like, oh, there's going to be tons of dumbbells, or there's going to be devil press, or there's going to be movements synonymous with street parking programming, which could be
street parking people don't have access to a gym.
Right. In the garage. Yeah.
Right.
But does their weekly programming, do they not program rower and then like substitutes for that, or do they just assume that people don't have a machine?
I think they program all of it, but always have substitutions for people without. Because but I'm not super familiar with their programming. But the stuff that I have seen before has had implements of like an assault bike and stuff like that.
Who knows? Someone in the comments has got to know. That's a great point. I'm going to guess that they don't use a lot of assault bike. They don't use rower. They don't use GHD a lot. I'm guessing. I don't know.
They use a lot of sandbag and dumbbell from the media I've seen, and like sleds and stuff.
Hey, is sandbag on that list, JR?
No.
Okay. And so we're going to start week 1, week 2, week 3. What can you tell us about what you think about week 1? I know that some years they like to have started week 1 so it's accessible to everyone. So that's not the week you want to scare people, I guess, scare people with double unders or muscle ups or anything that would scare people away. Because I think that they're trying to make it so that people who aren't signing up until the last minute won't be scared when they see that first workout. And do you agree with that? And does it help you kind of think about what they might program first?
Yeah, I think Chase, he said it best on an open show that he and Bill did recently. It's a workout that most everyone can do, but no one wants to do. So usually they'll try to scare you with pain and discomfort and not a heavy barbell or a complex body weight movement. And even in the past, we have so many years with Dave, and he kind of followed along with this. Some people could argue that the workout that started with one wall walk and ended with a set of 21 wall walks was pretty aggressive. But for the most part, usually the first week anyone could do. And he kind of understood that. And I think Boz does too, that, we want to, especially since it's only 3 weeks and we're not sending people directly to the games, which they did like in 2019, that the movements that come out week 1 are going to be things that most people can do and most people have access to.
Oh, in 2019, they did have some direct qualifiers, and they also programmed the most biased workout, one of the 2 most biased workouts in the history of the open for week 1.
That row wall ball.
Yep. Row wall ball and 12 minutes of burpees are the two polar extremes of most favorable for tall and short athletes, respectively.
Mm.
And there's hard data to support that.
And I know a lot of people don't care about the numbers and the trends, but some people do. And when we talk about these things and how much information we had in the last 12 years, think about things like this. Snatching, toes to bar, and double unders have been in every single open up to this point. Those were all perfect.
And thrusters.
Say those 4 again.
Snatch, toes to bar, double under, thruster.
Mm-hmm.
Snatch has been in week 1 of the open in 2011, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20, 21, and 22. Snatching and burpees, that combination showed up 5 times in 12 years. So those 2 movements together, wall balls and ring muscle ups, 2012 and 13, that was a repeat. 14, 15, and 20. Thrusters is the last week, I'm almost positive, all but 2020. And that was the year they were in a 20-minute AMRAP with dumbbell thrusters. So, I mean, there have been things over the years that we kind of know is coming. And I think that makes it fun. Like everyone would say around week 3, this is usually the muscle up week. This is usually when rings come out and everyone starts to drop off. Weeks 1 and 2 are pretty accessible. And then weeks 3 and 4, usually there's a chipper in week 4, or, we know the last week is usually going to have thrusters. I mean, it kind of made it fun, and it kind of made it at the same time unknowable. So
this workout that you mentioned, like the 7 minutes of burpees, that can't be seen anymore, right? I mean, that's things like that are gone when you limit it to only three workouts. Right?
I think I think if you wanted to bring that workout back as a repeat workout in this format with a 3-week open, that you would need to couple it with something else. So you might do AMRAP 7 minutes of burpees at the 10-minute mark, barbell complex in a 5-minute window. So you have a heavy with a a body weight ninja, like softball.
Yeah, I think making it 3 weeks from 5 weeks really does affect the programming in the way of single modality workouts, where you just have a body weight movement for 7 minutes straight. You just have a weightlifting movement 7 minutes straight. They could do it. I don't think they will do it. And, to Brian's point, some might say, what about 7 minutes of burpee box jump overs? Sure. But the people that you saw excel at 7 minutes of burpees are probably still going to excel at that same thing. The box being 24, 20 inches doesn't automatically give an advantage to anyone that's taller.
Yeah, it doesn't turn it into a couplet.
And I wrote an article about this that has not been published and probably won't be published on Barbend, but I will eventually publish it somewhere. And it shows a hierarchy of movements relative to height performance. And it was actually a really cool study. And the reason that I wanted to highlight this is because there's some specific movements and movement combinations that are very favorable to a specific demographic of height. And it's really the only one we can measure, because there's no way of tracking weight accurately in the CrossFit Games current system. And the same goes for people that are shorter. Like there's some workouts and some movements that are very favorable for that. So if you're the programmer for the open and you want to have a relatively balanced test, and you're going to choose either one of those movements specifically, and especially in a combination like rowing and wall balls, then you need to have something that offsets it. So that's why I say that if you're going to have a burpee test, then you need to also have a rowing test or a weightlifting test.
Where did the data come from that article?
Awesome guy named Mark Baum that will get the credit for all of the work that he has done and would have, he will.
How significant is the difference
between,
say you have two athletes that have the same capacity, but they're the difference in height? Like does the taller athlete?
It's hard to say with capacity. What this does is basically it uses something called rank correlation, and so 0 is neutral, that it had no favorability relative to height. Okay. That workout in 2019 was a negative 0.448 value, and the next closest one was negative 0.247, which is 18.1. So it's twice as favorable for tall athletes as any other open workout ever programmed. The burpees, 12 minutes of burpees, was a positive 0.376, and the next closest one was 19.4 at positive 0.304. Then there's a big drop to 0.2308 for 13.5. So there's one workout.
So he got the data from the open, and he just picked 100 people that he could find their height.
No, the top 2,500 every year that did.
How did he get their height? How did he get their height?
It's on the game site.
It's on the
now there are a few that might not have it listed, but it's going to be a fairly good representation of the top 2,500 performers on every workout that's ever been done in the open. He did the same for the games. Obviously, there's less people.
Are you launching a website, Brian? Are you launching a website? Launching a website?
I think so.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, JR. Sorry, that's interesting. What?
That 18.1, you spent half the workout on the rower, because that was toes to bar, dumbbell hang, clean and jerk, and calorie row.
And so when you take the top 5 that favor the tall and the top 5 that favor the short, there's a very distinct pattern that comes into play.
Interesting.
And you can see that that the movements are relatively the same. So 3 of the 5 favor rowing. All of them had a weightlifting component. Those are the 2 things that were favorable for the taller athletes in the field, and we can presume the taller are also the heavier. And then for the lighter one, 3 of the 5 included burpees, and there was never anything heavy that showed up. The heaviest thing we ever had, and one that favored the shorter athletes, was a 100-pound thruster.
Will you look up 20.5? I'm curious to see that workout that was a choose your own adventure, wall ball, ring muscle up, calorie row, if that one was almost a 0, or if that one still favored the taller person because of the wall balls. I would say because of 40 ring muscle ups, it probably evened it out. But
I can't
you said
believe
20.5?
correct.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 8th most favorable workout in the history of the Open for taller athletes.
So you could argue, though, that there are only about 5 movements that are more favorable for taller athletes in CrossFit. Wall balls, anything with a box, so a box jump or a step up, rope climbs, rowing. What else?
Well, any machine, I would say.
Right.
when you say
Possibly
tall,
like weighted running.
you mean just like every inch taller you are, you'll see the curve go up? They just do better on average? Like from 5'5" to 6'2", you just see that line like on the rower, just better.
Yeah, you still have to, like, assuming that the same capacity is there.
Right. Going back to these 4 movements that have been in all the opens, the snatch, the toes to bar, the double under, the thruster. I'm really surprised the burpee's not in there.
It was not in 2015, and in 2016, it was in the Open twice, in 16.1 and 16.5.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Do you think there will be something, JR, there'll be something new this year in the Open that we've never seen before? This Turkish getup or these, this whatever this is going to be?
Boz, I think he said on an interview maybe that he did with Miranda recently, where she kind of was, trying to get a little bit of information for the community and digging a little bit. And he said, as far as there being something brand new off the wall, no. But he did make a comment that new to the Open, yes, but if you've kind of been around for a while and you've been paying attention, it's not a new movement. And like I think even made that claim on the crossover double under. He's like, just because it's a new movement to you doesn't mean it's new. Like, you can watch Matt Mursky doing it on Every Second Counts. Like, it's
who made that movie?
Jumping rope, is not a new thing, and people have been doing single unders for. You learned how to jump rope. You were probably doing single unders, and they come out the games.
This is a good guess. You think it's something like this? That might be hard to judge, though.
So yeah, and that's a great point.
What is that? What's SDLHP?
Sumo deadlift high pull. It's actually one of the things.
Usually you see without the L, STHP.
Yeah. And I kind of was wondering that too, and was talking to Chase about it.
And we sorry to interrupt real quick, just to help people out. You're talking about with the kettlebell, JR, right? So we did the pipe pull with the kettlebell, and because normally we see it with the barbell, right? But now you're talking about with the kettlebell. Maybe.
So I think a kettlebell would be more likely, but I was actually thinking that it would show up in the Open with a barbell. It is in the judges course and has been every single year, and yet they never use it. Also, they've never done back squats.
Whoa! Go back to that. You tell me about this judges course thing. What's that?
So when you take the judges course, they have all kinds of movements that you have to look at the points of performance on, and look at.
But tell me about the judges course. That's the thing where you have to pay $10, take the online course so that you can judge people in the Open and sign off on there.
And for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it used to be a way that you have to take it if you're going to validate scores for sure. Depending on what gym you go to, some people you can judge, but if the person who's taking the course is there watching and validate scores, whatever. The rules have changed.
Pull up
over
that
the years.
comment by Matt Kuvian.
God, this is really compelling what you're saying.
This is an interesting comment. Sumo deadlift high pull certainly could come up in the Open. It's very rare that a main site workout has any movement that's also repeated the same week of the Open. So this could be like maybe a little nod to a 22.2 or 23.2 or 3, but basically eliminates it from being a possibility this week.
And when you have a movement like light sumo deadlift high pulls, or really light hang power cleans, where there's just so much opportunity for, is the hip all the way open? Is the knee fully extended before the elbow drops below the bar? It's really hard to tell because you can go so fast. What if you did sumo deadlift high pulls for a set of 50, like they did at regionals one year at 135? A lot of those guys, even at that level, were doing singles at that point. Just like singles on power cleans, I would argue that's not very difficult to judge. And like we talked about in the judges course, that movement is there every single year, and it's never been used, and it's a foundational movement. Look how long it took for GHD sit-ups to make their way to a stage lower than semifinals, right? They were in quarterfinals the first year. They were in quarterfinals last year. Maybe could be eventually in the Open. I don't know. But if you're looking at old school movements that have been around for forever, that they
the
put a
GHD
lot
is
of value
the,
on,
as long as the level one's been around, it's been taught to CrossFit coaches around the world.
Right. So do I think it could be a judging nightmare? Yeah, but would you? I don't know. Some would push back.
But go back to what you were saying. You're saying that in the judges' course, it's there. And the judges' course is made specifically for judging the Open, quarterfinals, semifinals, the games. I'm assuming that every games coach has taken the judges' course. And for masters, teams, it's the
comment section is doing very well. I had 3 things in mind. This was 2. Now we've hit, the comments have hit 2 of the 3 things that I thought might be a new thing in the Open this year. I don't think the med ball clean will show up in the Open, even though it like crossed my mind as a good possibility to. I think that will get a lot of heat in terms of difficulty to judge. Inverted burpees, they've been kind of promoting those a little bit. I also do not think that will show up in the Open.
What's an inverted burpee? Hi, Victor. Thank you for the $1.99. What's an inverted burpee?
It's a way to progress toward a press to handstand. That's what it is.
What's the movement? What's it look like?
You roll onto your back.
Do like a
you roll up onto your feet.
There we go.
And then you kick up into a handstand. You can do it against a wall or freestanding like this.
Okay.
But that'd be way too hard to judge, right? Unless you did it up against a wall.
Yeah, up against a wall could be something that's judgeable, but I still think that the transition from getting on your back to your feet is going to just leave a lot of room for gray area. And I don't think we need this in the Open.
So yeah, going back to the judges course thing, there are a few movements. The pistol has always been there, and I think a lot of people probably in the comments are saying too, but that judges course was also used for later stages. So if you knew you would have to judge pistols at the regionals, you need to be able to spot the flaw. You need to be able to see discrepancies in movement when you take the course for the Open. Look how long it took the pistol to come to the Open. 2020 was the first year with the ladder with clean and jerks and box jumps. Back squat has never been done in a workout. You could do light back squats from the floor. You could do box step ups with a barbell. You could do what I think is probably coming. This is a little bit of a trickle down effect from the games. Is look at the progression of unilateral movements. So starting out, we did dumbbell snatches. You had to alternate. You had to alternate for 2017 on all those dumbbell snatches. In 2018, you had to do 5 dumbbell hang clean and jerks on the right or 5 on the left and then switch arms at 5 and 5. You weren't allowed to alternate. Ever since then, it's always been alternating. The rule is always alternating. When you lunge, you have to lunge right leg, then left leg, right leg, then left leg. You can lunge for distance. Last year, we lunged for reps instead of distance. Why don't they just tell you stand in this spot, do 10 lunges on the right leg, step back, step forward, and then do 10 lunges on the left leg, step back, step forward. No one ever practices that. It's a trickle down from the pistol at the games when they had to do a certain number of reps on one leg and then a certain number of reps on the other leg, maintaining balance, not letting their foot touch the floor.
I'm going to tell you this, just so you know. Greg Glassman absolutely hates those.
Lunges like standing in place?
Step back lunges?
Yeah.
And not lunging like horizontal displacement?
Yeah. Basically walking. He wants to see. He saw me doing lunges when we were in Tahoe last week, and he came over and just fucking. I was doing them in place, and he fucking just railed me. Changed my workout mid-workout. Me and his wife and my wife.
What if you have limited space? Maybe you could do a backwards into a forwards lunge.
I tried to talk my way into some shit. I'll bring it up to him again, but just so you know, I'm not sure if that's in the journal anywhere either. I'm not sure if he's written on that.
So yeah, like last year during the age group semifinals, they lunged for reps with a barbell, and it's the first time I think it's been done in an online stage since 16.1, which was an overhead walking lunge with a 95-pound barbell. It's usually been dumbbell front rack, dumbbell hang position, double dumbbell overhead. That's been programmed all different ways. But with a barbell, just like with step ups, most people just do it with dumbbells. They do dumbbell step up on the shoulder. They do it from the hang position with both dumbbells at the side. But what did Rogue do this past year in their qualifier? They had barbell step ups in it. And that's,
It's intriguing to me that you say that most people don't do these things. We do these things at the gym, but we never do them in a Metcon. We do it
Right.
as a strength training, an accessory work for leg strength.
Yeah, we did barbell step-ups today in the gym.
In the Metcon
No, for strength.
for the strength. Yeah.
Hey, going back and saying, what's the range of motion for a sumo deadlift high pull for a judge? What would that be? What would
Usually
that
the bar or the object is meant to clear the collarbone. Is generally.
God, that's tough.
Yep.
That's going to be tough to judge. I wonder if you could say,
Yeah, there's
Again,
too much gray area.
Again, I think the load has to be heavy enough. And if Taylor's listening right now, he would say things like, well, listen, everyone's clamoring for for kettlebell snatches in the open or in quarterfinals. What's wrong with a kettlebell swing? How is a shoulder to overhead any harder to judge than a kettlebell swing? He's a pretty big component, like a big advocate of if someone can't get arms covering ears in a kettlebell swing, they probably can't in a push press either. So what's the problem?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah.
I think I don't disagree with Taylor there. I think if they do want to introduce kettlebell swings into the competitive season, that they should start at a later stage so they have a narrower field to do that exercise with, and the exercise being, here's the standard we're looking for, watch the best in the world do it. And now it's like, oh, well, that's something that maybe I should be ready for next year. And I know exactly what CrossFit's looking for. I would not like it if they put them in the open this year and introduce the standard at the same time. That's what you're going to just open yourself up to ridicule and problems.
Wait, but why do you say that though? Because the kettlebell has a clear ending, just like it would be a push jerk. So it's still dynamic. You could still see the extension of the knees, the hip, and the arms, right?
Yeah, but right now we're sitting here with four of us who have a combined 50 years of doing this, and there's probably 10,000 people that have been doing this for less than 6 months that will sign up for the open. Now, of course, the coaches should be in a place to administer that rule. I'm just saying that I think that it would be better off for CrossFit's sake. And that's the one thing I'm trying to push them towards more and more is make decisions that are easy for your team to manage. You're always telling us you have a small team. Don't make a decision like that that's going to be unmanageable.
William Leeper, thank you, $4.99. Appreciate it. I want to also Anthony TPA, wall walks into wall facing handstand push-ups.
Aggressive.
Since that movement was introduced at the games level first, and people can argue, well, will they introduce single unders at the games level first? True. It's a little bit different. They did that for accuracy. They did that for an unbroken set. It was just there so that if you did mess up, you couldn't advance. Since they introduced that wall facing handstand push up at a deficit, really, on the ballistic block at the games, I think the idea of just seeing them do wall facing regular strict handstand push-ups is probably more likely at the semifinals level or even at the quarterfinals level. Definitely not the open.
What JR is trying to say is what Ken Walters said. No way in.
Can I throw out my one prediction of a new-ish movement that we might see in the open and see what JR thinks about it, since no one's brought it up yet?
I'm excited, Brian.
And it is actually a little bit in line with this thing he's talking about of doing movements on one side and then the other. It's a single arm dumbbell thruster.
I think that's great. And I think that if they did that, there would be a requirement to do a certain number of reps on one side before
you do 10 on one side, do a gymnastics move, 10 on another side, do a 10 cal row, and repeat that for 16 minutes or whatever.
And that's a great shot in the dark you took, Brian. It's not a bad idea. You've kind of softened the blow on what I wanted to say and made me feel a little bit more comfortable. And all you guys are doing great rolling with the punches. And JR, you're especially a straight shooter. I want you to know that. And I think that, you should. Thank you. And none of this show has been overkill. We're 40 minutes and we're just keep turning over new stones. And I really appreciate it. And if any of you guys have any ideas that you'd like me to bring up on the show regarding the open, feel free to shoot me an email. No battle is too big or too small. And the deadline for that email could be, within the next 24 hours. And if you have two ideas, you can send them in one email, because I like it when you kill two birds with one stone. And that also saves me a lot of time, and so that I don't have to bite the bullet by opening two emails. And if you do have a bad idea, I won't like come at you kicking and screaming. I'll be cool, and I won't jump the gun. I'll probably read it a few times, and just take a stab at it, and let's communicate and be open. And I just want you to know that I'm really blown away by our camaraderie. Thank you. Okay.
I think it was. Do you remember when they did, Brian? When they did I'm gonna mess up the combination of the 3 words, but it was like breathe, lift, whatever. And there were movements you could do at home during COVID, I believe. Do you remember that one of those workouts had dumbbell snatches, and in it there was a requirement for you to do all the reps on the right arm, and then I think do burpees over the dumbbell, and then all the reps on the left arm. So I'm just thinking of times when they've actually said you're going to do the single arm or single leg movement, but you're not going to alternate. It hasn't happened often, and I don't think it's something people train a lot. And I think it's a great prediction that there's going to be some kind of unilateral movement where you are not allowed to just prevent fatigue by switching every rep.
Brian,
Thanks,
are you going to
Sarah.
respond? Sarah Cox, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We would not have anytime you see Sarah Cox's name, look at Brian and say thank you, Sarah, for bringing us Brian. Brian does not even exist with that. He's a hologram that Sarah gives us the money to make sure that we can run his AI. Yes, Mr. Beaver, I see you bowing down to Miss Sarah Cox. Andrew Hiller will be coming on the show in 19 minutes. Andrew Hiller does do a show every Tuesday called TRT Tuesday, and Sarah is a great sponsor for my show and Andrew's show, as you guys all know. There was a comment in here I wanted to bring up to you. Sevan, do you smoke pot? No, I don't.
Can someone tell me what that rant was you just did?
Oh, you'll know soon. Yeah, I appreciate you noticing.
Is that a preview of the second hour?
It's a good shot in the dark.
That is a
Well, I just did want to throw it out there before we get sidetracked that we want to do this every Tuesday for the next month or so through the Open and into quarterfinals. And I think it's one of the very few opportunities we have to talk about some stuff that goes on during the Open that won't really get talked about anywhere else. So if you know someone that's doing something cool in the Open that's unique or different and likely going to get lost, send it to one of us. If we get a ton of them, we may not get to all of them, but we'll try to highlight some stuff that's cool that's happening around the world that, like I said, probably will not be broadcast too publicly otherwise.
And Sevan will at least 5 times each week go on and troll someone who he thinks isn't trying or thinks that the Open doesn't matter and call them out on their poor scores.
You have me confused with Andrew, but thank you. I appreciate it. I just joined. Has JR already guessed all the Yes, he guessed all the workouts. Go back. Not only, thank you, Brian, for saying that. Not only will we be doing this every Tuesday, on Thursdays, after they announce the workout, Taylor will be jumping on. I believe JR will be jumping on. Brian, of course, is always welcome. And Andrew Hiller will be here, and we will Taylor will have already done the workout, and then we will watch Andrew do it live and discuss the Open every week. So I think that we're going to try to shoot for like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on every Thursday. So we're going to be doing a lot. Tuesdays and Thursdays will be big Open days for the next couple of weeks. Do you guys want to talk about take a quick stab? I know it gets easier as the Open goes on, but let's talk about with our 17 minutes left before Barbell Spin comes on and Andrew Hiller comes on.
I do want to ask about the kettlebells and what you guys think about them, because a lot of people are excited about the kettlebell. They think the kettlebell is going to come up in the Open. It may just be saved for quarterfinals, for the age group semis, if they choose to use kettlebells in the Open. Something that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to is there are only 3 weights listed. Think about the age divisions that are doing the Open. It's everyone. The lightest weight is 35 pounds. Lightest. The thought of doing anything other than a goblet squat or a farmer's carry, maybe a kettlebell deadlift, there's no way. There's no way. And there's no way that some age divisions are going to use the kettlebells and they're going to say, if you're at this certain age, you're going to use dumbbells instead, or you're going to use a barbell instead. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think the movement choice that we have for the Open using kettlebells is like 3 or 4 movements. And I think that's goblet squat. I think that's
farmer's carry
maybe. And yeah, I mean, they say you need floor space. It doesn't say they're going to use the floor space in the Open. It only says that the ropes and the GHDs are going to be used in the later stages, so they may not use the space at all. But after all the shuttle runs last year, what does that leave? Lunges, handstand walk, and carry. So other than that, with the kettlebells,
Wait. Handstand walk with the kettlebell?
No. As things that you could use the clear floor space for.
Floor space for it. I hope they do find a way to use the kettlebells. I think it'd be awesome to put them in the open. But I think that the number of movements, could they do a single arm hang, clean, and jerk? Sure. But I still think 35 and 53 for some of those age groups are going to be way too difficult for something single arm.
No, and they're not going to, and they won't do that. I mean, they've already said they're not going to use the heaviest one. So if you're programming the 16 and 24 kg as the RX, that covers 17 to 54. But everyone outside of that division has no other option. So I think JR's right on the money there. And I never thought that the kettlebell is going to be in the open this year. I do think it will be in the open eventually, but I think that we'll have other versions of kettlebells listed weight wise, and that'll be an indication that it's more likely to happen.
What about this, JR? Everything that the kettlebells can do, the dumbbells can do too. And they have dumbbells 20 pounds to 70 pounds. And at that point, then you have to start almost thinking Turkish get up. I bet you could do those with the dumbbell too.
I was going to say there isn't.
Let me throw this one thing out there. I want to say this. Adrian loves kettlebells. I could totally see him trying to put them throughout the games this year, that being the theme. Open, quarterfinals, semifinals, and the game. I mean, could you see that also?
I mean, look, we had kettlebells in the semifinals for online last year. We had kettlebells at the games, fairly demanding fashion last year. So he's already done it at 2 stages of the season. My instinct when they first showed up was they're going to be in the quarterfinals this year.
And I think if they are in the quarterfinals, they're going to show up in a dual fashion. So you're going to have dual kettlebell squats or dual kettlebell lunges or kettlebell clean and jerks like they did with the alpaca last year. Things like that. It's going to be.
The thing is, in the clean and in the quarterfinals, he's got so many options because he could do a progression of those things too. He could do a clean and jerks in the first 3 rounds and double kettlebell snatch in the last 3 rounds. So it's just so many things that the quarterfinals caliber athlete can do well with kettlebells. Just to me, it makes more sense. It's not. I mean, look, he certainly could do it, but I would bet heavily on quarterfinals for the kettlebells.
So the wall balls have been out of the open for the last 2 years. Do you think the wall balls come back?
I think they probably should come back. I think that it's a good open movement, and the fact that they haven't been there for a couple of years, I think, is fine. That's basically what I'm saying about the wall walk. Is we had them for 2 years, let's get rid of them for 2 years. We haven't had the wall ball for 2 years, bring the wall ball back.
Yeah, and something I think a lot of people should take note of is that, last year I think there was a thought of like, is he going to program a heavy wall ball? Like for the age group semifinals or, even for the quarterfinals, are we ever going to see a heavy wall ball? What happened? They went to a higher target. And then what did they do at the games? They went to an even higher target using the same ball. So heavy wall ball, there's nothing on the equipment list for quarterfinals or age group semifinals. But if you have a wall and it's 10 feet, it can probably be 11 or 12 feet also.
Good point.
What do you think we're going to open up with? Do you think the open's going to be just couplets and triplets? Is that what you're thinking?
I was thinking about this the other day that there hasn't been a chipper in the open in a while. And the first open I did was 2014. And I think that it's the most famous chipper the open's ever had was a 60, 50, 40, 30, 20 ending with ring muscle up. And I couldn't do a ring muscle up at the time. I've done that workout a few times since then. I love that workout. I know some people are saying we might not have a repeat, but I think that would be such a great repeat workout. And you could get a chipper, which is a format that we haven't seen in a few years. So as far as, they've had AMRAPs and time cap workouts, and that's about it recently.
With a 3-week open, do you think they should still even do repeats ever again?
I mean, I think something like that would be perfectly fine. You're repeating a workout from 9 years ago.
Right.
And it's a great workout. And it's not, I don't think like the days of repeating the same workout from the previous year, I don't think that's necessarily needed, but there's some great workouts from 2011 through 16 that haven't come up in a long time. And there's a whole new generation of CrossFitters that haven't done that workout or seen that workout. And the ones of us that have might be like, damn, man, it's pretty cool to be able to do that 10 years later and do just as well or better on it.
Yeah. And I think that, for I guess 21 and 21. No, I'm sorry, 21 and 22. Just 21. Having complex at the end, I think the best way that strength has ever been tested in the open are the 16.2/19.2 and 17.3 formats, where you have a certain time window, the barbell gets heavier and heavier, the gymnastics stays the same or progressively gets harder or more repetitions. And that's the way that you earn your heavy barbell, you earn your right to work more, but everyone gets to play. And I think that will come back, whether it's deadlift, whether it's snatch, whether it's whether it's a thruster ladder. They've never done a thruster ladder in the open. You could argue that they did it recently, last year when they did 95 pounds, 115, 135
was terrible.
Right. But, something like that, I think will come back around as the way strength is tested. I think just lifting just a barbell, how heavy can you go, is kind of going to be pushed to the wayside a little bit.
What do you think about single unders? Clock Cutter was asking about single unders.
I think if I had to bet whether they would or wouldn't be in the open, I would bet that they would.
Really? Mm-hmm. You think it's going to come in the first workout?
Did you say you said would not?
Would.
You think they will be?
I think so.
Yeah. If he had to choose one way or another, if you handed him, if you said, "Hey, JR, are there going to be single unders in the open?" You have to pick yes or no. He's going with yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would go with no.
What would it be with? You have something in mind?
I think that it would be with another grip and system movement, and with double unders. I do. Yeah, I really do.
Like a progression.
Yeah, I think it would be a progression, just an open style version.
I programmed the workout last week. It was 60 single unders into 30 double unders, 12 hang power clean and jerks into 6 hang power snatch. It was a work to rest. Oh my God. It was brutal workout. And it was really cool mind body trick to go from the singles straight into the doubles.
JR, can you give us some ideas of what you would feel comfortable sharing with what you think week 1 could be some good workouts, a couple ideas?
Yeah, I do kind of think, for the longest time people would call like CrossFit snatch fit, because it was like all we ever do is snatch, and the first workout almost always has snatches. Dave always programmed snatch the first week. I do think that Boz values expression of control, coordination, all that kind of stuff at a really high level. So I think that something unilateral in week 1 is going to happen, whether it's a step up, whether it's a lunge, whether it's a single arm dumbbell movement. That would be what I would guess, coupled with.
What does that mean, unilateral?
Like a step up,
using one leg at a time or using one arm at a time.
Okay.
So something like if you guys never tried the workout or a version of the one they did at the games with the kettlebell lunge and the toes to bar, I think something like lunges with toes to bar would be awesome. Toes to bar is very accessible for most people, and it's going to push a lot of the population. Hey, I can do this one RX. I may not be able to do any other one RX, but I can do this one because I can get that big swing, and I can still do some really small sets of toes to bar. But I think something like toes to bar lunge variation, toes to bar wall ball, something like that, I think is going to be in the first week. I don't think we see a barbell in the first week.
Toes to bar lunge. That's what I'm hearing.
Toes to bar lunge, toes to bar wall ball, burpee toes to bar, something like that. I think it's going to be really accessible. I think it's going to be very simple.
And they do have pressure on them, right? What are the pressures of programming the open in 3 weeks?
I think the pressure is to find the balance between something that is fun for the entire community and challenging enough for the best athletes in the world.
And in the different time domains and modalities, what are the time domains we'll be looking at in these 3 weeks?
Well, kind of interesting, actually. Last year, we had time domains of 15, 10, and 12 minutes. The year before that, 15, 20, 15, and then another 7 for the lift. And the year before that, 15, 20, 9, 20, and 20, which is really strange to have 3 20-minute time cap workouts in the same open, I would say. Well, one of them was an AMRAP. So a lot of 15s and 20s. But you'll get one that's like 8 to 12.
And I guess one of the ways to think of it is with only 3 workouts, we're talking about the fact that you can't just have burpees for 7 minutes. They have to be some sort of couplet. They have to test other
I think
And I
they'll all
think
be
that
mixed
JR's
modality. Yeah, I think they'll
And
all
I
be
think
mixed
that
modality.
JR is right. If you're looking at the style of workout, the best bet for the first workout is a couplet. And I think that then there'll be evolutions of a little bit more complex. Maybe you get a triplet or a chipper, and in the last workout of the open to the last week, you might get a progression. Where you do rounds of something that progresses to rounds of something harder, and maybe even goes to a third iteration.
How many scaling options does the open offer? Is it just
ton.
crazy?
It is
Scaling and then foundation, scaled, foundations, RX'd, and then obviously there's adaptive.
And there are also different versions for those things of the 14 and 15-year-old and 55 plus divisions. So it's one workout in theory, but that one workout for the games team ends up becoming, because you have to have men and women across probably at least a dozen, maybe pushing towards 20 when you factor all the things that we just listed in, versions of the same workout. So it's a lot to prepare that and then organize it in a way that's digestible, and then write movement standards that are easy enough for the entire community to do. It's a big job.
And that's why you're saying they should make it simple, because then if you go back to what the team has to analyze, it's not just those workouts, it's across all those divisions. So the workload gets insane. So a burpee wall ball is much better for them rather than a movement that might have some gray area where you're going to have to analyze it and really break it down. That's a ton of manpower to do that.
Sevan, Sevi, are you doing adaptive masters? No, Mason. I'm doing. You know what I'm doing? Yeah,
Your
you know
mom.
you know what I'm doing. Brandon Lecoq.
Look at that icon photo.
Is that real? $5. What would be the best repeat?
I think in the last week on Boz's story, I'm almost sure someone sent it to me, that he reposted Dave announcing 7 minutes of burpees and like put something on there like that was a good time, or those were good times. And whether you think it's foreshadowing or not, Brian, I pose this to you. If he did 7 minutes of burpees or 7 minutes of burpee box jump overs or 7 minutes of wall walks and then followed it by a barbell ladder like he did in 2012 with the snatch ladder and 7 minutes of burpees, if the chipper was week 3, do you think that's a balanced test in 3 weeks?
Oh, if that was week 1, week 2, and then week 3, I think it would be. Yeah, I mean, I do, because I think you have one that offsets the other, and hopefully the chipper is pretty neutral in that regard. So if the only question is it's a balanced test, I think that people would be disappointed in that.
Disappointed, sure. I don't think there has never been a more accessible workout programmed than that.
What would it be mixed with? 7 minutes of burpees and what?
Some kind of barbell ladder that just got
He's
heavier
basically
and heavier.
saying week 1, 7 minutes of burpees. Week 2, increasing weight snatches within 7 minutes, and the last bar is an AMRAP if you get to it. Week 3, you have a chipper with 5 or 6 different movements. That's a pretty well balanced test. You have one that's very favorable for the body weight, one that's very favorable for the strong, and then one that's, if you got to be fit to do well.
And
People
there's
are gonna
some there's
complain
there
no matter what.
there's
I don't
some,
think
That's a guarantee.
I don't think that it'll happen. But I do think that it would be a balanced test in isolation.
William Leeper, another $10. Thanks, brother. That other 5 didn't go unnoticed. I appreciate it. Our shuttle runs. Shuttle runs
are going with the wall walks. They're in the closet. We'll see them again in 2025.
yeah, I mean and I mean, like I
I don't
think
know if
that's a
you can
great
say
point
that
by
going in the
Logan.
closet. Let's just say we're gonna kill them for 2 years.
I think that's a great point by
Jesus,
Logan.
that's where
that,
we've
like,
got to. It's better to kill someone than put them in the closet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't think you saw what that did. You don't want that headache again. I don't think that, if quarterfinal athletes can't count them correctly, we're going to expect all the open athletes to not lose count on shuttle runs. I don't think so.
We are 1 minute away
You haven't
from the
asked my
show.
prediction for the first workout. That's how.
Please,
that's
please,
a little
Brian.
respect.
You have 52 seconds. What is
Yeah,
your
Brian
prediction?
probably has an actual prediction. I just have an idea of what I think.
Well,
Formatting.
I don't care about the 52 seconds, Sevan. I'm gonna.
Okay, take your time. Fine. So, sorry, 52 minutes is what I meant to say.
No, I don't need much time. Basically, I do think that a couplet is a very good prediction for the first open workout. I also think that for me, it's like you have the 2 best women in Europe, the 2 best men in Europe competing, and I don't just want to see them do a 2 minute, a two movement thing for 15 minutes over and over again like that. it's a shame when you have such good athletes there. So I picked something that I thought would be a little bit more fun, still a couplet-esque. But I was thinking, and it's been kind of funny that JR's brought up some of these things. I was thinking that you get a dumbbell and a box. You get single arm dumbbell clean and jerks with box jump overs for 3 or 4 rounds, progressing to single arm dumbbell thrusters with burpee box jump overs for 3 or 4 rounds of some reps and whatever. And now it's like still very accessible, very little equipment needed, don't need a ton of space. Almost everyone can do it, but it's got an element of fun and then an evolution that allows the fitness of those best athletes that are performing it to shine through a little bit more.
So what is the prediction one more time? Burpee box overs?
No, single arm dumbbell clean and jerks. So maybe you do 5 or 10 on the right, and then you do some box jump overs, 5 or 10 on the left, some box jump overs, not burpee box jump overs, box jump overs. And after you complete a few rounds of that, then you have another dumbbell movement, and it's thrusters, single arm on the right. You do some burpee box jump overs, single arm on the left, burpee box jump overs, and you do 3 or 4 rounds of that.
Yeah, so kind of like quarterfinals had a mandatory rest in there, but kind of like he did the first year, where he had the strict handstand push-ups, I think, with the dumbbell hang clean and the double under, and then it was the dumbbell push press with the kipping handstand push-ups and the double under. So
yeah, so it's like 2 couplets, just roll right into each other, dumbbell in a box, very easy. That was just the thought that I had. That might be fun.
Jethro Cardona. Jethro Cardona. Love that, Brian. Welcome to the show, Mr. Hiller.
Hey.
Any chance we see devil presses?
I think we will see a double dumbbell movement. So I think that whether it's double dumbbell snatch, whether it's dumbbell box step ups or step overs, whether it's dumbbell burpee deadlifts, whether it's devil press, I think that we haven't seen a double dumbbell movement since dumbbell thrusters in 20.2. So I think a double dumbbell movement in the open will happen.
Mr. Souza, is
Yes.
Mr. Spin coming on?
Yeah, he's here. I was gonna pull. I don't
even see him. I don't even see him.
Yeah, I was gonna put him up, and I was gonna drop myself off. But first, I wanted to go on the record. I'm gonna give my prediction.
Yes.
Okay,
It's gonna completely throw out everything we just talked about in its entirety. But I think it'll be a repeat workout. I forget which year it was. I think it was like 2011. But it was 5 power cleans, 10 toes to bar, 15 wall balls, and it was like
11.5, 20-minute AMRAP.
Boom. There it is. There's my prediction, and here's Mr. Spin.
Thank you.
Hey.
Mr. Spin, hi, how are you?
Wall-facing handstand push-ups.
I'm putting Mr. Spin in. Mr. Spin, before we get down and dirty, do you have any predictions you'd like to make? I know you're more of the objective journalist, but do you want to do a prediction? Would you like to do a prediction?
I have no idea this time. I think they're going to do at some point. There's some shuttle runs in there, but I don't think it'll be the first one.
Oh, Jesus.
I think it'll be a mistake, but they'll do it.
Oh, well, that now I'm feeling better about your prediction. Yesterday, Brian's Spin did an amazing interview. This morning, Brian, thank you. This morning, Caleb should have corrected me on that. This morning, Brian Spin did an amazing interview with Dave Eubanks.
Have we officially transitioned to the second half of the show?
We have. Do you have to go?
No, so JR and I are going to bow out.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you fine gentlemen take it from
Okay.
here.
JR, would you like to? JR, you guys are welcome to stay.
Yeah, I got to get in bed. It's already 10.
Okay. Enjoy. Think of me.
Love you.
Okay, bye.
I'll be listening, but I also am going to go. I'm coaching
Okay.
every class the next 2 days, getting up at 4 a.m. tomorrow. So thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
And I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say.
Thank you.
Bye, Brian.
It's going to be nice knowing Brian's listening to us as he falls asleep. He's counting Hiller doing TRT injections.
Did you guys see Lucas Parker's in the chat?
2 injections. That's Barry McCockner. He just looks like Lucas Parker. So this morning, Mr. Spin did an interview with Dave Eubanks. It was a great interview. It was great because it really brought some very interesting attention to a topic that I hold dear and near. I don't remember what year it was. Maybe you guys can help me, but I think it was 2018 or 2019. 2019. That Greg Glassman changed the format of the CrossFit Games, and they invited every single country champion I don't know if you guys remember that. That caused a lot of frustration on a lot of people's, for a lot of people. What it did do is it made it the most eclectic CrossFit Games in the history of the games by far. There was
eclectic or eclectic?
Yes. I'm trying to use a word that's different than inclusive.
I figured.
What it did is it allowed the largest range of ethnicities and nationalities to participate. Eclectic idea, style, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources. Thank you. What did I say?
No, you're right. You're right.
Oh, okay, thank you. Eclectic, I appreciate it. Eclectic was the most eclectic cast of characters ever at the CrossFit Games. Now, that was not Greg's intention. He wasn't. This wasn't. We didn't have a DEI council. This was just he was like, hey man, let's let everyone participate. Kind of at the root of the CrossFit Games was to make it so that it was the most potent fitness methodology, lifestyle methodology for human beings to do. All of us who are humans, who have the DNA that makes us humans, and that if you follow this lifestyle protocol, your body would respond in the way that it's supposed to, and you'd be the most robust human being alive through this diet and movement. So, and he wanted to make it he knew not everyone would do it, but he knew anyone could do it, and that it would have huge benefits for them. That group had the rainbow there, man. You could hold up a chart and it would be from white to black, like a piece of paper, and you could hold it up to the people there, and it would be the broadest range of any of those group of people ever at the CrossFit Games. Do you understand what I'm saying? The melanin in human skin at those games was the widest.
Oh, you said the rainbow, and I thought we were getting sponsored by Skittles.
Oh no, sorry, the black and white rainbow, the skin color rainbow,
okay.
Not the.
I'm up to speed. Okay, let it roll.
DEI, Dick's Energy and Inspiration. Correct. You feel where we're going with this. This year. Well, I want to explain one more thing to you, and then we're going to play this clip from the interview. Basically, in order to get to the CrossFit Games, in order to get people from your region to the CrossFit Games, you need to accumulate points. The people in your region need to accumulate points to make it to the CrossFit Games. Ironically, the greatest way to accumulate those points is at the CrossFit Games. So if you can't get to the CrossFit Games, you can't get the points to come back to the CrossFit Games. I know that's a little bit dizzying.
It's like those people who say invest a bunch of money in the stock market so you can make more money. It's a 10% investment on your $10 million you invested. You're going to make $100,000 a year and never to work again in your day in your life. It's like, well, where am I going to get $10 million to invest? It's like, wait, you don't just have that sitting around?
Right. And I'm going to explain one more thing to you. And if you don't get this, it's okay. It's going to start to make more sense to you. But Barbell Spin basically did a calculation. And that basically, if your region, there are these 7 regions, if your region doesn't have at least 5 people go to the CrossFit Games.
No, 5 in the top 100.
Sorry. If you don't have at least 5 athletes in your region who are the top 100 best athletes in the world, fittest athletes in the world, your chances of getting someone new to the games are nearly impossible. Mathematically fucking impossible. So this method that they've installed, that they've put into place, has made it so it's almost impossible. No matter how many great athletes come out of Africa, Tia would have to go there. I mean,
what
literally,
if we had 5
Tia or
Brodies and
Justin would
5
have to
Tias
fucking
living
go
in
there
Africa?
in order for Africa to get enough points. Basically, someone from Africa has to win the games if they ever want to get another person into another spot to qualify to go from the semifinals to the games. And I want you to listen very carefully to this interview here. This is Dave Eubanks. This is the guy who is in charge of making this new protocol, of organizing this new protocol that takes you from the open to the CrossFit Games. Action.
My video on Africa. One of the things that it appears by looking at the math is that it takes about 5 athletes in the top 100 to have a shot at getting into the top 100. But looking at the scoring table for Africa, right, there's 4,000, 1,800, 800 for the top 3. And then it drops down pretty significantly below that, which if they do well in the open and quarterfinals, they're given about 6,000 points. So they need about 1,500 over 2 years in semifinals, which doing so almost is near impossible for Africa. Am I thinking about that right? Is there
Can we pause this?
a path for Africa to?
So you don't need to worry about any of the numbers you heard. But basically what he has just said to Dave Eubanks is, am I thinking about this right? Is it almost impossible for someone new from Africa, besides the one spot that's already allocated, to make it to the CrossFit Games?
Action.
Yes, please.
To get 5 spots in the top 100, given the semifinal scoring table?
No, I think you're right. It is going to be very, very difficult for Africa to get enough people in the top 100 for them to earn an additional games qualifying spot. And I guess the question I put back to you is your contention that Africa should have an additional games qualifying spot right now?
Pause.
No.
He responds, he's asking Mike, do you think that someone deserves to go from Africa? That's not what Brian's even proposing at all. He's asking this guy, hey, you've built this system that's supposed to let people get to the games who are good enough to get to the games. It's supposed to be this egalitarian, equal playing field. Let's have a mathematical equation or a protocol or an entry that makes it so people who are good enough can go. Let's give opportunity. And Brian's like, hey, you haven't done that for the entire Africa region. Can you rewind it just like 10 seconds, hit the J key and play this again? This is this is fucking crazy to me.
In the top 100 for them to earn an additional games for Africa to get enough people in the top 100 for them to earn an additional games qualifying spot. And I guess the question I put back to you is your contention that Africa should have an additional games qualifying spot right now?
No, I'm saying I don't see a
Keep going. This is great.
path that they can get there though in any time down the future because of the number. Because just qualifying for the games right now pretty much guarantees you're in the top 100 for 2 years, right? You're going to get somewhere in the 4,000 to 3,000 plus point range, which is well above most likely the 7,500 it's going to take to get into the top 100. But if you finish in fourth place twice in Africa, you're only going to get an additional 800 points, right? You're going to be around 6,800 points, leaving only 3 in the top 100. I just don't see a path that even if there were great athletes that came out of Africa, they're never going to get 5 spots to get that opportunity.
Yeah, and so it's possible that's one of the things we look at in the off season. But
Pause.
What I would say is that
he needs to be like, fuck you, Brian. There absolutely is. This is a totally fair protocol that we've vetted and works. Yeah, they hate Asians even more, coming from Yash. Let me see. Halpin has a couple things in here, unfucking me a little bit. Not almost impossible. It is impossible. If your region does not have 5 spots, they don't get an extra spot. This is true for Oceania and Africa. It's weird that it took me 3 shows to finally pick up on this, and then also for Halpin to unfuck me yesterday, and then Brian Spin to do this great interview. If Africa had Tia, Cara Saunders, Ellie Turner, and Jamie Simmons, they could never, ever send more than 1 athlete with the points table in the 2-year look back. Holy shit. Is that true?
They could have Tia, Mal, Laura, Danielle, and they still would not.
So why don't we just say, hypothetically, they've got 50 Tias sitting over in Africa?
You have to have 5 athletes in the top 100.
Oh, 5. Okay.
So
it's
if
4.
you guys don't understand, I want to try to explain this to people who just aren't following along clearly. Basically, there's this thing, and it's hard to follow. There's this thing, it's called the strength of field. And basically, and basically that's the number of points. You get a worldwide ranking, and then that gives you a certain number of points. So Hiller may have 10, Brian Spin may have 10, and I may have 10, and we're all from Africa, so that gives us 30 points, right? And so those 30 points in our region, then they look at a chart and they're like, okay, how many people get to qualify for the CrossFit Games based on the fact that their strength of field numbers and their worldwide rankings numbers equal 30 points. And what they're saying, what Brian Spin and Halpin are saying is it doesn't matter how many points they fucking get. They can't get enough points because the way they've set this up for Africa ever to have another person qualify besides the one. And now you might think, and that's what Adrian was saying, and I want to defend Adrian here a little bit, and I am biased. I fucking love Adrian to death. But Adrian said, does it pass the sniff test? And what he meant by that is, do the same number of people get to go this year in 2023 that probably would have gone in 2022? The answer is yes. But why concoct this protocol that now makes it absolutely impossible for anyone from Africa to go? And if you wanted to use the CrossFit Games logic, and this is where it gets weird, you would have to say that they're 100% racist, that they fucking hate black people and Arabs. I'm just using their logic. I don't actually think that. But I know Dave Eubanks is woke as fuck. And I just want to say one more thing. I don't want to drag you two into this, but I want to play one more fucking clip, and then I want to ask you guys about this. Caleb, can you play the next clip where Mr. Spin asks him, are you happy with, by the way, I knew you were fucking amazing at Wadapalooza. I told you I wish I was you. Now I doubly wish I was you. Or at least you were my son or something. This is crazy. Watch the rest of this. And I don't think that they're racist, but this has made it the least inclusive CrossFit Games in the history of CrossFit Games. It's loaded so that melanated people from the African continent cannot go. And I'm just using their logic. And I would recommend that Eleanor from the DEI Council, who's so fucking concerned about us using words, and that's what I was making fun of her earlier. If you went to her LinkedIn profile, she's posted phrases that people shouldn't say anymore, like "shoot me an email." That was me making fun of her. I would say that Mr. Eubanks should have to do 52 weeks of sensitivity training and maybe send him to the Congo. Yeah, Eubanks is exactly right. Or Asian. Yeah, he hates Asian people too. I mean, this is batshit crazy. But I want you to know, I actually don't think he's racist. I just think he's a moron. Okay, action.
So those are great things, but I think it is serving the purpose that it is meant to serve.
Oh, sorry.
Like
Can you start it back
gives,
10 seconds earlier? Okay, here we go. Action.
Work, and it should continue to be, and I encourage it. So those are great things, but I think it is serving the purpose that it is meant to serve. Like you said, it gives commentators and athletes and fans a lot of stuff to talk about where the worldwide rankings are. And it gives us an objective system that we can look at and say, hey, if you're in the top worldwide 100 after quarterfinals, you have material bearing on how many games qualifying spots are going to be.
So it serves the system it's supposed to serve, and and that's to keep Africans out. I rest my case, Your Honor. Mr. Spin, when you did this interview and you're at 24:38 and you ask him that like you're 24, you can pull it down now, Caleb. Thank you. I'd like to see Mr. Spin's face a little bigger. When you are you following all this, Hiller?
I'm following, yeah.
Okay.
I'm picking it up as you're throwing it down.
Mr. Spin, as at the 24-minute mark when you bring this question up, are you nervous to bring this question up because you know that he might dig himself into a fucking corner?
I mean, I knew going into this, obviously he's been on several podcasts, CrossFit and Talking Elite Fitness, where it was very just, this is the greatest system ever. Nobody has really complained about it. And I didn't want to just get in to start throwing mud the first minute, right? I mean, it wasn't going to, we weren't going to get anything out of the conversation. So I really wanted to just frame questions that got beyond the surface level of, yeah, we want to surf, a top 100 and that's going to send people to the CrossFit Games. And it's really no different. And so, I mean, asking that question, I wasn't sure first of all, if he's even going to react to it. But when he said that, there's really no way for it, I knew that he probably either hasn't done the math on it, or worse.
I honestly think that what they've done, well, what do you think? Do you have any opinions on whether this is stupidity or this is actually cool because it keeps the status quo? Or do you have any thoughts on how they ended up in this position where they have to answer a question that basically says, yeah, it doesn't matter how good the athletes are who come out of Africa, they can't come to the games?
I think they created a system that was going to mimic what 2022 looked like, with math rather than them saying, here's how many spots you get. And what really threw me off is if you listen, I asked about the minimum number of spots. Why not start with one? And the answer was because the rule book was already in process and it already had defined the number of minimum qualifying spots. So we built the unallocated spots and the calculations off of that versus maybe doing the right thing and saying, hey, everybody gets one spot. And I
heard you ask him that question twice, because when he said it, you said, I just want to clarify, you built this system after the rule book.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, if you're building an entire system that's meant to be off of, the best athletes getting there, why are you throwing 2 spots to Asia and 2 spots to Latin America with, just based off history?
I mean, basically, at the point that they see someone great, the next great person come out of Africa after, let's say, Jason Smith, let's say, or Keelan Henry, they're basically just going to have to go. They're going to have to change the rules. They're going to have to arbitrarily now just add someone and be like, okay, now 2 people get to come from Africa, and making this kind of a mockery of the whole Dahant method that they're parading out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could have
that's the only way, right?
You could have Keelan win in 23, and then next year in 24, Jason Smith win the games. So you'd have 2 CrossFit Games champions out of Africa, and they still would not get 2 spots for the games in 25.
It's unreal that they put this much work into parading this out.
Well,
and
Brian,
it ends up just hurting.
Like
this ends up being like BLM. They put all that work in, and all you get is a 34% increase in black homicide. It's fucking nuts.
If you had Jason Smith one year and Keelan win the next year, you're also assuming that one of them would not make the games in the following year, which would be impossible if you really think about it. The games champion not competing in the following year.
Well, unless he was pregnant, which I think Eubanks thinks that men can get pregnant. And I don't mean that jokingly. Holy shit. What are they gonna have to do to? Or do you think how long are they gonna run with this? Do you think they're gonna double down on their error, or they're gonna have to back out of this?
I mean, nothing's gonna change for 23. I think that ship sailed.
Someone there's gonna realize what they've done, right? That they've made it impossible for anyone from the African continent. I mean, can't someone call the Biden administration and have them just?
I think what you'll see is, especially when you start throwing out, and he has these new point tables for the new semifinals, right? Based off of 13 athletes or 12 athletes in North America going. What that's going to do is more athletes have the opportunity again. I think Mike talked about it on your last show, that there's a more opportunity for these guys in North America and Europe to push into the bottom half of the top 100 and kick out those athletes that are in Oceania or Africa or Asia that might have been in the 90th to 100th, and now they're in the 101st to 110th. And so I think what you'll see is in 24, you'll see even less of the smaller regions have a representation in the top 100.
Wow. And that's moving the needle in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
They knew they were moving. Sorry, this is Mike Halpin. They knew they were moving out of Asia during the games last year when he announced a permanent visa. So they knew in giving 2 spots to Asia that it was to athletes that have only finished in last.
I think he left out Roman.
That's what he meant, Roman.
Yeah. I mean, they knew that. I mean, when they put the rule book out, it was called the Roman rule. I mean, everybody knew it. So, yeah, when you're creating this, and yeah, I mean,
let me see that again. Pull that up again. Sorry. Let me. Halpin, Mike Halpin. An important reminder: the top athletes, Keelan and Michelle Bazinet, have dual citizenship. They can just leave and compete somewhere else.
That's good.
Holy shit! This is Jake Dome. But I think the CrossFit team is right in saying that an individual athlete's placement is not a good metric of how many spots that region should have.
All right, what should they do?
Hey, here's the thing.
Anybody got something there?
This, if this was a matured sport, and we started, let's say this was a matured sport, let's say, Brian, and we gave just each region 5 athletes, right? Or 6 athletes. Let's say 42 people come to the games. And then then we start the DeHaan method. Then we're good to go, right? Actually, but eventually someone could get into a pinch and get down to 1 or 0 again.
If you started out with 5 each, no. I mean,
No.
because that scoring table, the problem is you have over 2 years, you have 8 scored opportunities. And we know half of those are meaningless. The open and quarterfinals are meaningless. And Dave admitted that, right? Everybody gets the same amount of points.
Right.
The games, again, is only for the top 40 athletes. So the place where you make a movement is in the semifinals. That's the only way you can get from outside the top 100 to inside the top 100 is basically going to the games or getting enough points to crack that 7,500 threshold. So basically you're just going to be in that situation, you're pretty much going to be 5 in every region every single year. So
remember the year that the South had, what's going on with him? There was the South regional.
It's hailing where I'm at. That's crazy. I'm in Arizona and I heard hail.
Was very notably weaker in the South, in the Americas. And then everyone just kind of knew, but no one really had too big of a problem with it. I don't know why they don't just give more spots to Africa and say, well, you got them because you're Africa. And they're just, it would be like the South region back in the North America. What was it? During the regionals, of course.
I mean, there's several different ways. I mean, I've looked at it by looking at the top 100, and if you're in first place, you get 100 points, second place 99, and using the DeHaan that way. That way, like I pushed Dave, Justin Medeiros should count worth more, get more votes than, say, the 99th place person in the world. And what that does is, if you look at giving 1 spot to every region and doing that calculation, it gets about to the same spot, but after a year or two, you have room to kind of move in and out of that. But it's a tough situation given that we only have 8 scored events and only 4 matter.
In a nutshell, and I'm going to take a stab at this. I'm going to see, and then we'll let, I'm going to hear Andrew's take and Brian's take. In a nutshell, basically, what we're saying is this. If you don't start, the cards are stacked so that whoever, I don't even know how to explain it. It's simply and eloquently. Go ahead, Mr. Spin. You want to take an idea, a stab at it? Just basically for people who can't follow the math and the numbers, just be like, hey, this is the fucking problem, and this is why Africa's fucked. Yeah,
the problem is the DeHaan method requires, the way they have it set up, you have to have 5 people in the top 100 to have a chance at the DeHaan method calculating to give you an additional spot, one of those 17 unallocated spots. The problem is the point structure for semifinals in Africa, where they only give you 1. You don't have enough athletes based on the scoring table, which you get 4,000 for first, which you win that, you go to the games, you're in the top 100. Second place only gets 1,800. Third place gets 800. Fourth place gets 400. You need at least 1,500 points off of 2 semifinal events in 2 years to break into the top 100. If you do the math, 4th place and 5th place do not get there if they get 4th and 5th 2 years in a row. So next year or the year after, Africa will only have maybe 3 athletes in the top 100. and so they'll never get an additional spot to the games. They'll always keep one.
Basically, if you can't make it to the games, you can't get enough points to get more games athletes there.
Mhm.
And they've set it up that Africans can't get to the fucking games. The end. Hiller, do you want to take a stab at it?
I listened pretty closely to, of course, the drug interview with the Blue City team, and I did a video on it. And what I took away from their interactions with the people over at CrossFit is that there's too many people.
By the way, that was a great video. That was a great video. I watched that.
Thanks. Too many people doing too many jobs. And when you do too many jobs, issues like this could possibly be arising, which is they haven't looked into this, and Brian has figured it out. And then now you're saying they're going, oh shit, on their end of the table, thinking they hadn't thought about this scenario, and now they got to figure it out on the fly. Or is there a world where they do already know about it and they just don't care?
Reminder, the athlete that just went to the games from Africa for women is going team, so there's 4,000 less points and one less African athlete. In summation,
Also,
I just want you to...
why do they have to do this? Why do they have to do this? It's so confusing. The sport doesn't need to get harder. It needs to be simplified so that people don't have to dig through and figure out how the fuck everything works. Make it like, 2019 was ridiculous, but everyone knew what was going on. Pretty simply.
I want to
was there
reiterate.
in 2019.
I want to reiterate. Remember those people who said that I'm out when it was by far there were more ethnicities and more nationalities at that CrossFit Games than all the other CrossFit Games combined. And remember the people. And I want to say probably more people with gay people too. Let's just throw that in there, even though I can't prove that. I only suck 3 guys' dicks there. But remember, that's the guy they kicked out. That's the guy that they hated on. And now we have the most restricted CrossFit Games ever, especially if you're from the African continent. Just remember that. Remember those people, those I'm out people. It's weird. They know not. Didn't Jesus say something like they know not what they did? Forgive them. It was 2018, 2019. I can't remember. All sorts of funny looking people. Armenians and shit. Weird looking motherfuckers from the Middle East were in the games.
I was there.
There they are. Look at them. Look at all these weirdos.
Yeah, it's lit.
Look at that. I want to show you this too, by the way. Mr. Beaver, could you pull up the there he is. There's my boy. Can you pull up this is posted today on LinkedIn. This is someone that your affiliate money is going to. Remember, they just fired the black guy who was running the affiliate department too. Don't forget that. Gary Gaines. Big fan of Gary Gaines, not because he's black, but because he's a this fucking thing's about to come down here in Arizona. Can you hear this shit? It's getting scary. Can you, Caleb, on LinkedIn, the head of their DEI council just posted this bunch of words that you're not supposed to say. This is where your affiliate money is going to. Her name's Eleanor. Can you imagine? She's a professional censorer. She professionally censors words, censors people. Sevan is in Tucker Carlson mode. I don't mean to be. I just want to. Can I be Martin Luther King or some shit?
I want to be Gerard Butler in 300. What do I got to do?
Yeah.
I'll kick Dave Eubanks.
I almost put Halpin on timeout. I almost clicked the wrong button. Exactly, Sevan. That should also remind the PFAA, the DAC, and the I'm Out athletes that in 2020, athletes seem to have all the power, but in 2023, it's back to CrossFit can do what they want. Yeah. I mean, it's you should have the grass is not greener on the other side of the hill. Caleb, are you working on it or? Oh yeah, he is working on it. I just want to show you this. It's a LinkedIn post. Have you seen it, Sousa? Have you seen this post? I sent you a screenshot of it. I cannot believe that there's someone at HQ that makes money. Hey, dear Don. Oh yes, Malcolm X. Thank you. I'll take it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jesus, change your profile pic. It chubs me up every time I see it. This
Nice.
this is Elaine Marino. She, her, ella. I do like the fact she speaks Spanish. Global head of diversity, equity, inclusion. Global. Dude, what do you stop playing adult? Fuck. Global. And she's reposted the lead from Atlanta. Like that should disqualify you, by the way, of anything that we believe that you say, as soon as we know you're from fucking Atlanta. And this is, so she doesn't want us to say pull the trigger. She wants us to say going to launch. You shouldn't say I'm going to take a stab at it. You should say I'm going to take a first pass at it. And she has all of these things. That's your affiliate money, people.
Did I tell you I got in a fight with someone at Office Depot today?
I would love to hear
I think
that
I
story.
used all the phrases on the left in the middle of it.
Beware, Sevan may lose power. I ain't losing shit. I ain't got no power. I got nothing.
He's a straight shooter. That's straight out of Office Space. That quote. Come on, he's a straight shooter with.
What the fuck is the Aya pronoun? That's she. I'm okay with Aya. Yeah, guaranteed she doesn't CrossFit either. Probably not.
What is
It's
wrong with the
Espanol.
stuff on the left? Can you tell me? Like, what's wrong with saying I was blown away? That was awesome.
Oh, she's riding the horse because I watched CNN today for 2 hours. She's riding the horse. They can't stop talking about. It's so funny. They didn't care. They didn't care when Joe Biden about the laptop, and they didn't care that the virus was made in China. But now all of a sudden they're focused on these balloons from China, and they're focused on the school shootings. It's bizarre. Stop watching that shit unless you're just there to do research. Sevan, do you want us to be an affiliate owner? Sevan, do you want us to be an affiliate owner? Is that what you were saying? I want you to do whatever you want to do, but you're paying money to the mothership, and I just want you to know what it's for. Hey, every single affiliate owner I've had on, and I have one on a week, I try to, has been like, yeah, I pay money for brand loyalty. That's what they do it because they're good people with values. They're good fucking people with values. People with values don't need their money spent on being told what to say or excluding people from the African continent of making it to the games. That's not those kind of people.
That was deep.
That's what I'm saying. And I would love for CrossFit to succeed. And I love Don or I love what Don's doing. I'd like to love Don. And I would like, and I love Adrian. That I actually do love Adrian. There's people over there that I dig, but I'm just seeing this dumb shit. I mean, look at my buddy Souza fucking pays money over there. Doing it for Souza.
Hey, I pulled this up earlier. Do you think that looks like Eubanks?
It looks like me if I fucking got juiced up and had the plastic surgery and got a fucking
I think that
haircut.
looks a lot like Eubanks, without the AirPods in, of course.
You know what's funny too is my mom. My mom hates it when I say anything bad about Eubanks because he was the instructor at her level 1, and she said he was a fucking class act and a good dude.
Natty Moody.
Okay.
Dave and
Thank you, Mr. Spin. Thank you, Mr. Hiller, Mr. Beaver. Does anyone have anything that they want to say?
Yeah,
closing?
I might be late to the party on this. I'm sure you guys are gonna laugh at it, but at some point, did we realize that it's Barry my cockiner?
yeah, man. Where you been?
Oh shit! No. Oh no. I Barry McCocken. No, I never knew that.
I was just thinking about it when you said it earlier. The way you said it, I was like, "Wait a minute, have we ever acknowledged this?"
He's been on the show for
I never knew. I never
Why
knew.
did
I'm kidding.
you guys bring
I'm
it up?
kidding.
It's been like 100 shows.
And who said it first? If someone didn't know what we were talking
I
about.
always say his name, Barry McCockiner. But I never. I'm like the guy on The Simpsons, the dumb shit.
I
Bro,
was there too. I didn't get it.
It's been at least 4 months that I've known this, and just brought it up thinking everyone knew.
Well,
Caleb, you knew.
bro, I knew for like 100 shows.
Well, when are we going to share with the rest of us? You know we're slow.
I-
You know I'm slow. What are you doing?
I thought we all knew.
No, you got to
Thought
spell
we
that
knew.
out.
Hey, I thought we knew all the perverse jokes. Barry McCockiner.
I had no idea. Okay,
Come on.
come on. Back to seriousness. I don't want this show to fall into the gutter.
All right, sorry.
Oh,
Okay. I thought it was like free swim.
I get what you're saying, Sevan, but I think you need to tell the other people working within HQ your opinions on this. Like who? Like how this? I am. What do you mean? I am. This is the show. I mean, I am. I don't want to like bug the shit. I mean, I've texted Don a few times some things that I think that I tried to get his ear on some things that I've witnessed that I think that could be fixed, that could help. I don't want to. I mean, Dave knows sort of how I feel. I don't want to tell you the honest truth. I'm pretty sensitive around this time of year with talking to Dave about game shit at all. I mean, today I spoke to him on the phone. We talked about motorcycles. And whether
why he shoots 22s all the time.
Say that again.
Did you talk to him about why he shoots 22s all the time?
No, I didn't. Why has he been shooting a lot of? Like, what do you want me to do? Who do you want me to call? Oh, but they know, dude. They know, dude. So many fucking people watch this show. How the fuck could they not know?
They know.
They know. Yeah. I mean, Souza is intimately. I mean, he's a fucking affiliate owner. I mean, he talks to the peoples.
The people.
They know. They all know. What's happening over there is some of the Rosa squad is still in there and they're just fucking up. And basically, here's the thing that needs to happen. And some people are going to really hate this, but basically everyone who put up, and I'm using this as a metaphor, everyone that put up a BLM sign in their front yard basically let the rest of us know they're the fucking racists. And so like we had a moment 2 years ago where everyone got to fucking, the light was turned on in the kitchen and we saw all the roaches scurry everywhere. And we saw where they hide and what they said, and we saw what each person stood up for, right? It's like this. A little kid walked into a room with a cap gun, and we saw who the heroes were that tackled them, and we saw the people who ran, and we saw the people who held up babies for protection. We saw that. We know who they fucking are. We know who the cowards are. We know who the courageous ones are. And it's like, and so now it's this we just know. And I'm not saying that you can't become courageous. But I think what mostly is people are just doubling down on their stupidity, and that's what you have at HQ. At some point Don's going to have to realize, hey, I'm either going to fire all the pussies or I'm going to fire all the courageous people. But they're never going to fucking move forward. They either have to turn into Orange Theory,
they won't.
You know, or they're going to have to turn back into CrossFit. And to turn back into CrossFit, you're going to have to clear out the idiots. You need people like Dave who will be like at my L1. My first L1, Dave said, we have 65-pound bars over here for Fran. That's for women and pussies.
That is not inclusive language.
Yeah, and I was
Not
offended. I was offended. I really hated him for that. And now I've come around.
Now you're
It's
okay
fine.
with it? You're okay with
Yeah,
it?
it's like, I mean, it's still a dickhead thing to do, but I'm okay with it.
Hey, I have to agree with
I
your
was
mom
upset
too.
because I was a fucking 45-pound bar guy. There wasn't a category for me, super pussy. And do you know what I did? I hid in the ring like a pussy. There was a boxing ring there, and everyone there did Fran except for me because I was scared because of what that Navy SEAL said.
You stood in the corner with your camera.
And a couple
just
years
gonna shoot
later,
this
Dave
one,
told
guys.
me, hey, I saw you hide, you little bitch.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Hey, I stumbled upon an old video on YouTube, and I have a quick question. You'll be able to answer it in 1 second. There was a guy.
Sorry, one thing. Why did Nicole leave and come back? Just curious. Send her an email and ask her, please. Go ahead, Susan.
She may not get your email. There was a guy named Andy Olson, and he was like a light technician.
Yes.
Do you know the video?
When he was there. Yes, I remember when he came to
And you
CrossFit HQ.
You made a video where Dave
Yeah.
basically gave him a little feedback on his one muscle up attempt, and then he got it on his second try ever.
Yeah.
Question, hard-hitting question. Was that video staged?
Yes and no. That guy weighed fucking 120 pounds and was strong as a fucking bull.
Yeah, he almost
Any
got it on the first
jackass
try.
could have taught. Sorry, Dave. Any jackass could have taught him a muscle up. Yeah, he was an electrician. He had forearms like fucking Popeyes. He was just like, "Mwah."
Yeah, he got the ball
Yeah.
tip and he had it
Yeah.
down.
It was
Funny.
silly.
And I also
Brian,
have to,
you got, Mr. Spin, how's your CrossFit?
It's going all right.
Good.
Dealing with a little knee injury, but it's fine.
How'd you do that?
Box jump overs, just a lot of volume of them.
How's the kids?
They're doing well. Basketball on
Dave?
Saturdays, soccer on starting next month. So busy.
How's
Is
the
that
day job?
I'm doing both. So Yeah, trying to keep up with it.
How's the marriage?
Fantastic.
Is that a real
Oh.
plant?
You got some lightning going down.
It is. It is.
Oh,
I heard that one.
I hope that clears up by the time
Oh,
I
look,
fly
can
in.
you see? Oh, out there, the neighbor's alarm's going off.
Oh, really?
The bad part of Arizona.
All hell's breaking loose.
Mr. Spin, how are your forearms?
They're fine.
All right.
But,
Interesting question.
Getting stronger, you think?
what's that?
Getting stronger, you think?
Oh, very much. Yes. Not Hiller
What's
strong. but
what's your favorite muscle on your body?
this is getting weird fast.
His tongue.
Well, I need to get more than one word answers out of you, and I need to know why it's your favorite muscle. You really like your calves.
I do have
But
nice calves.
You're upset
I do
that
have
they
nice
didn't
calves.
protect you during your box jump overs.
I ran in when I was younger, so the calves are doing well.
Yeah, I've actually seen pictures of your calves. They look great.
On Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, the plan is Mr. Spin, I miss you, from Gabe at Paper Street Coffee, the other bold sponsor for the Sevan Podcast. I just want you guys to know on Thursday, brought to you by Paper Street Coffee and California Hormones, we will be doing an open show right after the open announcement. Excuse me. Taylor Self will do the open workout. Then he will come on the show, and myself and JR and Taylor and maybe Caleb and Souza will then watch Hiller do the workout live. You go with that, Hiller?
Yeah,
And that's gonna be this Thursday. So plan on like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Maybe since Halpin and Spin have been so good to me this week, I'll invite them on. Mr. Spin, that's where you, Mr. Spin, that's where you go. I'd be honored.
I was reading the comments. Sorry.
that happens.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Fantastic show. We will be clipping this last half hour and making its own video very soon. Please share it. Mr. Halpin would be honored. Would love to have you back. All right, guys. Talk to you soon, and bye-bye.